And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming back at you here from Lakers Fast Break. It's a snack pack, everyone. Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. I just dropped an episode with me and Josh this morning. You can catch it on YouTube, radio stations around the world, and, of course, wherever you get your podcast, where we talk about Inside Out 2's big win at the box office, plus Cheese and Blood with House of the Dragon. You know what I mean if you watched it last night. Plus, we talk video games and more with Nintendo Direct coming tomorrow. We want to go ahead and kind of talk about what we would like to see at the Nintendo Direct. So we talk about that on the latest Pop Culture Cosmos. Plus also as well, of course, Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Joe Soros here. He's not looking too happy, and neither am I. And I think as Lakers fans, you know why. But you can help him out. You can cheer him up by getting a new lawn today at Simblade. Simblades with a Y.com. Plus also giving him a shout out at Lakers Ball, SOX247, LakersBall.com. Plus our good friends, Laker Tom, you know who is pissed off right now, and Jamie Sweet. Those guys are always arguing against each other. Right there at Lakerholics.com. John Costa is not a happy man either. He's at Lakers Corner and Clutch Talk. Of course, Stone Hansen, he is not happy either as a Lakers fan, but he's also covering the draft like no one else at report_court on Twitter. Plus our good friends who are also not happy, Lakers in 5, Empire Chef TV, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, John McCallion channel. Please support all these great channels because we could all use it right now. We're all depressed because we are no longer tied with world championships with the Boston Celtics because those evil green people won. So please support us today and support them. And of course, hit us up. Make sure you follow us, like us, and support us, and subscribe today to everything that we do right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. So it is, of course, the end of the season because the Mavericks just couldn't get the job done. They went into Boston for Game 5 after a very promising Game 4. Could they do the impossible? Nah, not even close. As they just got blown out by the Boston Celtics. Don't even want to tell you the score because it doesn't really matter because they did end up winning 18. So the question now comes down to Lakers fans. They've made their move. When will the Lakers make their moves that will get them back to a tie with an 18? Will it be in my lifetime? Will it be in yours? We'll answer, hopefully, these questions today with, of course, my good friend. Plus, we will be talking about a very interesting local interview in the state of Connecticut that popped up, and we've got a little snippet of it in regards to the Dan Hurley signing. We were so high on the Dan Hurley signing. Were there any reasons why we shouldn't be? Well, we're going to go ahead and explain why coming up on the show as well. But Jamie Sweet's in the chat. Jamie, I know you're not very happy. I know you and Laker Tom will share about it as far as on the Lakerholics show and also Lakerholics.com. But Joe, it is number 18 for the Celtics, the evil team that they are, but they got the job done. The Lakers didn't. So Lakers works begins. But with Jeannie and Rob at the helm, my friend, do you say that they'll finally catch up before 2030 or before 2040? Or ever?
Well, looking at what's happened in the last 75 years since the Lakers won their first championship in the NBA. At the time, it was called the BAA, but it's the NBA now. The Lakers have won a championship every 5 years, so they're due next year. According to the numbers, they're due next year every 5 years. 4.41 to be exact. For those who don't know, free agency, or I should say discussions with their own free agents is going to start in about 46 minutes, which was a really good call by the NBA to get this thing going immediately after the finals are over. So we could see some things happening here tonight. And there was a lot of help here. And it built over the last 7 years. Teams that drafted in front of the Boston Celtics helped. Management, like Stevens switching from coach, or I should say coaching and executive positions, Brad Stevens helped. Udoka helped until that happened, and then that brought in Joe Mazzulla. That helped. And then, of course, the final move that catapulted the Celtics was Milwaukee turning into a bunch of pumpkins. And not only that, giving the Celtics the perfect role player on this run and solidifying their championship run.
Just disappointing, Joe. It absolutely is disappointing to see it like this because, again, the Lakers, who have prided themselves on doing the right things in this century in many ways, they had gotten LeBron to join up with the Lakers, made a trade. I know we've discussed on people talked about. They've been nitpicking it in the years since, but it did get us that AD trade, did get us that title. But in the years since, while you still had LeBron playing at a consistently high level, truly high level, and AD right alongside, you did not build a championship team around them. And I to me, again, a lot of the finger and a lot of the blame, it's an organizational blame, but a lot of it has to go at the head of the office right there with Rob and Jeannie making the decisions. The Russell Westbrook trade is something that sets you back years. And we were able to recover to the point where we went to the Western Conference Finals. But as often on our show, on a playback, we often get called out for a fake comeback. That might have been in many ways a aberration or things going the right way for the Lakers in the sense that the Western Conference Finals run may have not made us that good of a team, that it was still quite a chasm between a championship team and where the Lakers are. And seeing how we progressed or degressed this season, I can't say I blame them because, again, it looks like right now we're a middling team and the Boston Celtics are right now on top.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. The NBA is not setting its league up to become. Teams are not becoming dynasties anymore at this point.
It's going to be hard for Celtics especially with Tatum.
It's gonna get much more difficult. I'm thinking that I think Jason Tatum won.
Brown won the MVP.
Okay, so Jaylen Brown won the MVP.
But Tatum's about ready to
Tatum's
sign
about to get a supermax.
Fat
and the thirst also will be factored into that. And that's what's going to make it more difficult to catch up to or pass now. Now the Lakers have to win 19 to pass the Celtics, and that's if the Celtics don't win any more championships.
Eric says 5 for 310. So would be the number if they go full max.
Yeah, it's going to happen. The Celtics don't really have a choice.
And they just signed Drew Holiday to an extension. Yeah, This team is not going to get any younger because some of their key pieces, such as Holiday and Horford, aren't getting any younger, and they're getting much more expensive, Joe. And the ability to go ahead and make moves will get harder.
The Lakers have to create a miracle here in the next few weeks to combat this championship, which basically means they have to win it next year.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how that's going to happen. Not with the current roster, and not without trying to get a third or fourth guy that can complement AD and LeBron. And then you have to hope that no one gets injured late in the season. Everybody got injured this year except the Celtics in the important areas, and they still had injuries. They had Porzingis essentially missed 3 series if you count all the games, but it didn't matter. This was the first dominating run by the East since the 98 Bulls. It's been a long time.
And the Celtics got a lot of things going their way, but Indiana had their opportunities, couldn't get it done. I think that was the real most competitive series for them was the Indiana series, Joe. Yeah, I understand it was a sweep, but every 3 of those 4 games, Joe, you could easily say Indiana should have won those games, and they played them themselves right off the floor in doing so. Whereas the Mavs really only had the chance in game 4, the game that they won. So again, credit to them. They did win. They got it done. They built a team around them. It's going to be that did win, but how long they sustain themselves, we'll have to wait and see. I'm not as high on the Celtics' chances to go ahead and repeat because, again, they're going to get older and much more expensive in the not too distant future, Joe.
Well, it depends on what the other teams do and who's going to come in. Is Philly going to improve? Likely, because they have a lot of money that they can throw at some free agents, and there's some free agents that can help them. The issue right now is how are the Lakers going to, in the next 39 minutes, start this process of going after it? We're going to find out in 6 weeks where this team stands. And then we still have to wait for the season to play out. We have to wait to see who stays healthy. We have to see if chemistry will work. We have to see if this new coach will help. And then you have to assume that Rob and Jeannie all of a sudden know what they're doing.
Pretty bad, man. But right now, I know we're trying to be the source of reason here, but again, it's really hard to see this franchise that you and I love so much, just trying to find that direction that's going to get them. I'm trying to find positives in this, but the way the team is being run, it's just really hard to do so right now. But like you said, in 6 weeks, that can all change. Rob could go on a hot streak again, like he did last year, and find some certain things that may work out, but I don't know, my friend. The results there are not as good as I'd like them to be.
Yeah, harping on it is not going to do anyone any good anymore. I think we've harped on it enough. Repeating it over and over again isn't going to help. There's a mission now, and maybe there's some motivation here they can focus on. That's all we can do. As fans, we have to let this play out how it needs to play out. And a lot of times when you think something should have happened, doesn't happen, maybe it's a blessing in disguise. And we'll talk more about that here with our recent interest in coaches. I think the footage we saw today was something that was kind of itching a little bit in the last since Dan Hurley turned down the job, and we were thinking at the time, well, why do we keep hearing about spouses talking?
So between Nick and Sean, they found this on Reddit.
Here we go.
Ironically, Joe, you look at the handle that's doing it. Lonzo BBB ball.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, I don't know if I can play this and actually not get in trouble for it. So we're going to just play it real quickly. It's only 30 seconds. So I'm hoping I can get away with it. But this is the wife.
Okay. No, never
of
mind.
Dan Hurley. Go ahead, Joe.
No, it's okay. Play the video.
All right. We're going to play the video right now of some comments that she made to a news outlet for a bigger story that happened on their channel in Connecticut.
people love us here. And it's like, why would we, in my head, I'm saying to myself, like, we're leaving? Like, we just did this amazing thing that's almost impossible to do, especially in this world of college basketball. And like, we're just gonna pick up and leave. Like, you're just so good at this. Like, why? But then then it sets in, and then the next phase is, oh my God, it's in California. My whole life is here.
So that's pretty much what it comes down to. I mean, again, she had some her comments there on changing her life structure, and again, Joe, maybe it's better for the best that we didn't get the Hurleys over here, because obviously she has quite a bit of sway, as well she should, because that's her life too that's being moved over. But I also think it comes down to the fact that, again, the Lakers just did not provide a wow offer to the Hurleys. But seeing that take place and seeing the comments that you guys have made since, it seems like you guys aren't really all that broken up about Dan Hurley.
No, I'm not. I've heard this is going to come off bad for those who are not able to interpret the difference between someone who should keep their mouth shut and someone who shouldn't.
Here we go.
I don't see what the sense of someone. She's not the coach. Why am I listening to her? Why is this even a topic a week later? What do we give a damn what she says? Seriously. I'd be embarrassed. Well, here's the part that's going to bother people. My wife would have never done this. I would have never allowed it. Ooh, Joe. What are you, some kind of chauvinist? What, are you trying to control your wife? Goddamn right I'd control my wife. You don't do this kind of stuff. You don't do this kind of stuff. The same reason why I wouldn't go on TV and talk about good-looking women on TV while my wife is watching. There's manners, and this was bad. Yeah, absolutely.
I think marriage to me is more of a partnership, but that's Joe's thoughts, not necessarily my own. But again, it comes down to the Lakers.
First and foremost, we're not here to be marriage counselors. This is about sports, and this is about someone who's yapping and making you look bad. This has nothing to do with partnerships or your marriage. This is about, why the hell did she do this interview? What does she have to do with this? We're hiring Dan Hurley. We're not hiring his wife.
So let me ask you this, Joe. What if the Lakers had offered him a $100 million contract, or the 125, or whatever crazy numbers that were being thrown about? Would she have been as vocal as you saw her there? Or would they have actually turned that down? I don't think they would have turned down.
Jeannie looks like, this chick looks like she's the same as Jeannie. We have to hear about walking the puppies and hanging out with ducks and how she sleeps in her own bedroom. Why do I need to hear this crap? Why do I need to hear from this lady?
Yeah, the timing of it is not good.
It's not timing. This is the world we're starting to live in.
It's like, he didn't take the job. Let's just move on. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. And then when you respond and call out people like this, oh, marriage is a partnership. Marriage has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with that. You just embarrassed and made your husband look like crap. And we now, as a Laker fandom, we're like, good. I'm glad this didn't go through. Good. Maybe this worked out for the best. But people want to, so these same people, by the way, these same people will do something like this, and then when camera people are bothering them, they're like, why don't you leave us alone and give us our privacy? Right? This is more than just the topic of the Lakers and them not hiring or hiring somebody. This is about respect. One of our chat room compadres here said it. It's about respect. Why would, okay, you run your house apparently, and your husband is insignificant. You're the boss. You're the alpha in that relationship. You go do interviews, whatever, right? Why would you keep harping on this when a team offered you a job? If somebody was nice enough to offer me a job to run my organization, I respect it, instead of going around, we didn't want to leave, and I didn't want to leave, and I wanted to go to leave, and we're happy here. Why do I need to know this? How old are you? She's a mother, right? She has children? She's an adult, isn't she?
You know what gets me on a day like today? Dan Hurley.
I'm going to say this. I want you guys to pay attention.
Okay.
This would have never happened in my life. I want to say it again. You represent a family. You represent a family. You represent your children. You represent your father, your mother. That doesn't mean anything to you? Then you can suck it then. Because that's why all this shit that's going on right now is the way it is, because no one has any respect for your family, for your children, for your spouse. That doesn't mean anything anymore. Everyone's got to be an individual. Oh, I'm going to go get mine. I'm going to go get mine. I'm going to go get my money. Yeah, that's why 99% of those scumbags have like 7 different women or 7 different men or 500 different kids with 700 different people. That's the world you live in right now. This is what this is from. This is why it's okay. Oh, we're gonna let our kids do whatever they want at 14 because they gotta be individuals. They gotta be their own people. No, my 14-year-old makes this many decisions in the house. You see this right here? 0. You know why? She's 14. She doesn't know any better. I'm the boss. I call the shots. You know why? Because I protect the goddamn family. That's why. That's what it means. It's not about me going up and sitting on some mountaintop and with a club in my hand. It has nothing to do with that. This is the stuff right here, guys. I know it's a little exaggerated in the discussion. It's supposed to be about the Lakers, but no, this is about respect. And it all comes together in these kind of little details. That was, first of all, that interview was horrendous. The audio was terrible. They just recorded it in some room. You could hear it bouncing all over the place. It wasn't even a professional interview. What was that even? What was the point of that interview?
It's local news, Joe.
Good. Local news. Local news will do that kind of stuff because no one's watching that garbage anymore either. All they know how to do is say some guy broke into some house down the street or some car got into an accident. I don't even know why local news exists anymore. Worthless news. You can go on the internet and look at whatever's going on in town. So it's just one after another, constant, over and over again. You just see disrespect after disrespect. You disrespect an organization that was giving your husband a job, and you made it about you. I don't want to leave. Okay, you don't want to leave. Why'd you fly over there then? Why'd you waste their money to fly over there? You think they didn't pay for that? You think they didn't give you food? You didn't think they'd give you something like, hey, thank you for coming. Hey, what do we got here? None of that. None.
Private plane,
All you thought about was you. What am I going to do? What are we going to do over here? Well, then why did you go? Waste our time, waste my time reading this crap. And it's getting worse and worse. My time with this stuff is getting worse in terms of the aggressiveness. I don't want to make any time for people like this, man. I just want to watch basketball. And these guys are not helping. All of them are not helping.
Someone who also isn't helping his own cause here with Lakers fans is Dave McMenamin, who is supposedly the reporter for ESPN that covers the Lakers. He retweeted this just a few minutes ago from Tim Bontemps, who is a known Laker hater, says so on his show, the Hoop Collective on with the guys that's there. He constantly berates the Lakers. Tim Bontemps with glee posted out there his comments on the new ESPN story he put up there about the Boston Celtics winning their 18th title. And Dave McMenamin, as you see right above it, reposted it, retweeted it. And he's been retweeting a lot of things concerning the NBA Finals, specifics, things of that nature. A lot of it very pro Boston himself. Dave McMenamin?
No, who's the other chump?
Tim Bontemps. He's a guy that covers a lot of East Coast basketball, NBA. He doesn't cover one specific team. He's assigned a lot of the teams on the East Coast in the Eastern Conference. But be that as it may, when McMenamin reposts and tweets a lot of things that are pro Celtics, when you're supposed to be the Lakers reporter covering for ESPN, the specific the Lakers, does that mean, or should that mean, or anywhere in there that ESPN or the Lakers should just like take away their Lakers card away from someone like that? Who I understand he's being a team player to ESPN, but the team he's specifically supposed to cover, the Lakers, I'm sure that doesn't go over so well.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. What happened?
Did you not read what I said? Again,
who's the other idiot that you're talking about? Talking
Tim
smack. What did you say?
Bontemps, who put up his story on the Celtics winner their 18th title.
Okay, and he's clowning the Lakers how?
He's clowning it. Well, okay, let me go ahead and I'll put it up there again.
And why is Dave McMenamin involved? Because he just sharing what he's saying?
He retweeted it, yes.
Okay.
And if he's the Lakers guy, you wouldn't want anything to do with that.
He's not a Lakers guy. He's a LeBron guy.
No, that's right there. Let me go ahead and I'll post it right back up on the screen. You see, ESPN story, the Boston Celtics with a dominant team effort in Game 5 close out the Dallas Mavericks to win the 2024 NBA title, passing their forever rivals, the Los Angeles Lakers, for most in the history of an NBA process. So that's Tim Bontemps. Again, he's a known Laker hater.
I didn't see any hate in that conversation.
Well, I'm just telling you. It's just, again.
Matter of fact, he complimented the Lakers by saying they're forever rivals.
Yeah, but he said passing their forever. But again, Dave McMenamin just putting salt.
So here, let's look at it the correct way here. Look at this guy. This guy, even in a Celtics celebration and a championship, they still are thinking about the LA Lakers.
Okay.
Right? He didn't have to put passing. He could have just said the Celtics are now the
passing, just to rub salt in the wound
of all time without mentioning the Lakers.
Well, he put salt in the wounds by saying passing their forever rivals. So that, to me, I take a little bit of a different tone than you do on that. And then Dave McMenamin retweeting that as the Lakers guy, again, pouring some more salt on the Lakers fans' wounds there. So we're already feeling bad.
The only salt that's being put on the Laker fans right now are the people that are running the show, not the Celtics winning a championship. Well, it sucks, but the salt has been being poured on the Lakers fans way before tonight's game. And we're going to find out if it's going to continue here in the next 6 weeks.
Because definitively you will find out what the core of the team will be going forward for next season within the next 6 weeks.
Yeah. We got to first get a coach. Drafts next week?
Mm-hmm. And as Laker Nick said, it's been about a month, hasn't it, since Darvin Ham's gotten fired?
Yeah, it's been
big shout out to Laker Nick, by the way.
Yeah, Laker Nick was sending the torpedoes really, really well tonight.
Yeah, he's
I should say.
Just an awesome part of what we do. Cannot thank Laker Nick enough.
We're gonna have to wait and see how this plays out. I couldn't care less about Laker haters. I've been around Laker haters my entire existence. They mean nothing to me. Some of them are even my friends, and they're useless in that department too. I know their teams better than they know their team, so that's really easy to diffuse their stuff. But all the hate, we have Kobe Bryant, we have Jerry West, we have Will Chamberlain, we have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, we have Magic, we have 17 championships, we won 6 since 2000. There's not a lot to look down on being a Laker fan. We've had 2 3-peats in our existence. We've had 2 repeats in our existence. We have a starting lineup just in the Laker team that could be a starting lineup for an all-NBA team. You can sit here and you can yap and cry and denigrate the Lakers, and we can talk about our own issues because that's how it works. Laker fans can talk about Lakers not doing things or doing things well. You can't. You have no room. Who are you? I think it was funny that they were talking about the Milwaukee Bucks and how they did this. No one gives a crap about the Milwaukee Bucks, folks. No one. And, you want to sit here, Boston people, on your high horse and all that. Man, Bill Russell won championships for you guys for how many years? And what happened when he came home one day after I don't know if it was after a championship game or whatever, some game. We all know what happened. I'm not going to repeat it, okay? So don't sit on your high horses in Boston and think you're all tighty-tighty and all that. No one is perfect. Everyone is okay. Boston, you won your title this year. Good for you. You earned it. You had a good coach. You had good players. You had a good front office. You did all the right moves.
As you often say, you're very complimentary
to the
specifics if we weren't those stupid green uniforms.
Yeah, well, again, because everybody was dogging Jason Tatum. Everyone was dogging Jaylen Brown last year, especially after his horrible Game 7. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are not Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and even Kobe Bryant had bad series, and even LeBron has had bad series. So those guys got dogged, especially Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum got just destroyed. He got destroyed this year after going up 2-0. So it just goes to show you that it doesn't matter if you do things right, wrong, or indifferent. You're going to get dogged on. If you play too well and you have somebody else there, they're going to say, oh, well, you had help. If you play terrible, oh, you needed someone else to be good. Oh, if you didn't win Finals MVP, you weren't really the number one guy. There's always a narrative that's negative. That's how media, that's how these parasites work, folks. That's what these people are. They're parasites. And there's a lot of them. They come in all shapes and sizes. But here in about 18 minutes, I'm gonna look at the news, see if there's some stuff moving around. It's in 18 minutes. It's gonna be the new NBA season. I commend the NBA for doing that. By the way, I like to get right into the next phase if we can.
DBSH, aka Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Please subscribe to his channel. Is giving us the super chat. Thank you so much for doing so. He says that we took Lonzo over Tatum.
I'm curious. That's a point that I've been starting to see a lot lately. I'm curious to know if Tatum would have had to have been packaged to go to New Orleans for AD.
That would have affected a lot of different things right there.
Yeah. And would the Lakers have been as bad if Tatum was there? Would LeBron and Tatum have not put themselves would it have been better in 2018? Would they have gone to the second round with that tandem? It's easy to say that now, but you don't really know how that would have worked out, folks. It's difficult. I'd say based off the results that I've seen, I would rather pick the way it went on that one. I would have rather have just picked the way it went. Because
may I ask why?
It's a safer bet. It's a safer bet that Anthony Davis will be a better pickup, a better Laker than Jason Tatum and LeBron James.
Okay. I respectfully disagree on that. I think obviously Jason Tatum had turned out to be the better player substantially than Ball, but again, it is what it is. I mean,
That's not the point. The point is, would he have been packaged to get AD? The answer is likely.
Yeah, he probably
So
would.
therefore, this discussion is moot. It's a moot point.
He would have been in place of whatever we took, whatever we sent. So
yeah, maybe the Lakers said no, we're not giving him up, and New Orleans goes another route. I don't know.
I mean, Tatum played pretty darn good as a rookie. So
I'd have to look at the contracts. Maybe the Lakers say, look, AD, just finish off the next year. Come here. We're going to keep Tatum and LeBron, and then you come in as a free agent. I don't know.
Blue has a point. What about getting Jaylen Brown instead of BI?
Well, you're kind of talking the same scenario.
Okay. Would he have been included in the trade?
Yeah. Yeah. So just, again, Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball, the Tatum and Jaylen Brown. If Jaylen Brown and Tatum are picked, Jaylen Brown and Tatum with LeBron you probably have a better team at that point. So if you want to package those together, yeah, then they made a mistake. They should have got both. But in those instances, you don't know really how that would have played out, folks. You have to give the Celtics some credit. They developed these guys better than they were with Brad Stevens, and then the coaches are the extension of Brad Stevens. They've been in that same philosophy, that same mindset, that same training, and they've dealt with a lot of losses, a lot of terrible losses, and look how they responded. I think a lot of that had to do with the culture in Boston, because what were they saying in Boston the last 3 years? Get rid of this guy, get rid of the guy, get rid of this guy, get rid of that guy, as soon as they kept losing these series. And guess what? They said, no, we're going to ride the ship. We're going to ride it until we win. And they did. That kind of mentality doesn't work in LA. LA, you make one bad move, you get traded a lot of times. That's just kind of how it is, because we're impatient. Lakers don't really know how to kind of stay the course. They don't know how to pick the right coach. They don't know how to pick the right GMs. It's a problem.
Growing talent, something that they don't really like to go ahead and do. They're very impatient as an organization. That's something I will say. It's I don't know if it's always been the case. It hasn't always been the case, actually. But now, at this point in time,
they grew the talent in the 90s.
Yeah.
They stayed competitive. They knew they weren't going to be a title team, but they did stay competitive. There was a Laker lore. You saw some really good series.
They built the talent in the 80s. They grew the talent in the 80s.
80s was when Magic came, they became a title team the whole decade. So I don't know if there was really a time from 80 to 89 where they were, hell, even through 91, where you weren't going to think that the Lakers were going to compete for a championship. There was
but the young talent that they got after that was Scott with Worthy. They stuck to it. They rode with it, and obviously were the benefactors of it for several years. Jay Don says the Lakers don't develop players. Name the last talent they did. Yeah, in recent times, no, they haven't. I guess unless you're saying Austin Reeves, and if that's the best case scenario, Joe, that's not going to get it done.
Develop players? No, Lakers don't develop players. I think
Reeves is the only case of that, really.
Yeah, sure. I don't know I don't think anybody's developed them though. There isn't a consistent coach there that's developing anyone.
So you're not going to give Phil Handy any credit on that?
He's an assistant coach. He doesn't do anything.
Player development was his focus.
Why didn't he develop Rui more? Why didn't he develop Max Christie more? You might want to give Austin Reeves the credit there a little bit more.
Well, Mr. Z, when it comes to Kobe, again, that's in the past. Obviously, developing Kobe developing as a player, that's one thing. But that's when the only thing recently you can say as far as developing players, the Lakers. Again, Reeves, whether you argue yes or no, there's just very few cases of the Lakers standing pat and just developing players because as we started to see just some small signs of blossoming with the young crew. we traded for AD. It worked out because we got the championship, but just again to what Joe's saying, as far as we're a very impatient organization at this point in time.
I don't know. I never really got a feeling that, let's say, Phil Jackson between 1999 and 2004, was he developing the Brian Shaws and the Rick Foxes and the Shaqs and the Kobes? Would you say he was developing them?
I mean, Kobe, he improved so greatly in such a short period of time.
I look at Greg Popovich developing Manu, Tony Parker. I don't know if he was developing Tim Duncan or David Robinson. Those guys are too big to be developed. They have to want to be coached, but they're not. They're gonna develop kind of on their own at the guide of the coach, but they're not gonna really be developed. Did Popovich develop the fundamentals for Tim Duncan, or did he do it? That's a good question to ask.
He was a 4-year player though at Wake Forest. Kobe was a high schooler coming out.
Yeah, well, and they're both fundamentally sound players, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But the question is, do these coaches really develop those players? Did they develop? I know they developed. I know he developed Tony Parker, because Tony Parker was a late round pick. Manu was a second round pick. He developed those players because they weren't anointed future Hall of Famers, right? You don't usually get those kind of guys that late. They weren't stars coming into the league. So he developed those guys. I don't know if I'm interpreting it wrong or different, but that's a question that I think would be good to ask these players. Did any of the coaches for Shaq help develop them? Did Shaq go into a season and said, man, Phil showed me this thing, and man, it made my game so much better. We do know that Phil said, you need to get into better shape and stop doing rap music and movies, right? We know that he said that. But is that considered developing, or just saying, hey, get serious about your job? Because Shaq didn't listen to anybody. Shaq was always full of crap. He's still sometimes full of crap with his, I'm a disciplined guy, and I grew up with Sarge, and yeah, he didn't listen to anybody. And Phil confirmed that years later.
So, as you said, the Lakers have the ability to go ahead and start talking to their potential free agents, D'Angelo Russell, and of course LeBron James here in just a matter of moments, although I'm sure they're probably already have had those conversations already. We have been regretting this time in many ways, Joe, in regards to LeBron James, because the 3-year 160 or 2+1, or however you want to say it, if he decides to go ahead and forego his final season and ask for a new extension, that's a real issue on the table, because a guy closing in on the big 4-0, not able to give you everything that he used to give you on a regular day-by-day, game-by-game basis, and committing all that money to him over the course of the next possibly 3 seasons is something very realistically possible that we could find out within the next 7 minutes. 3 for 164, Eric's saying.
Yeah, it's not good. That means we're stuck with LeBron for 3 years with no clear direction on how this roster is going to continue to stay in championship contention.
It's going to be harder, much harder if that's the case, because so much is tied up. And then, of course, D'Angelo. But D'Angelo, you said, obviously, as an asset, you could potentially move in a trade.
And you need someone who wants him and would be willing to trade someone of significance to you to get him. Mm-hmm. And that is not likely unless somebody does the Lakers a favor. Think about that for a second. Why would you sign and trade D'Angelo Russell? To acquire a player, right, that you want, at a price that you can confirm based off of the trade, right?
Yeah.
You need that contract to cover whatever contracts come in this way. Everything that they need to do is extremely difficult, even when you're not desperate. Now imagine being desperate. Imagine being desperate and not respected in the league. And imagine being the LA Lakers, whom no one wants to win.
Yeah. I think they're trying to cheer themselves up in the chat. They're talking about setting up 2-on-2 tournaments.
Good for you guys. Keep up the positiveness.
Yes. May the force be with you. Cool, bro. Okay, you just emailed me. Okay, sounds good. Lakers fast break at yahoo.com. Lakers all day. You said you wanted to join the show. We'll go ahead and set up a time. We'd love to meet you in person. So, Lakers all day earlier in the chat. He said you wanted to join us on the chat. And I said, just email me. Let's see if we can go ahead and set up a day where you can actually go ahead and voice all your frustrations if you can. So, yeah, love to go ahead and hear from you and set something up. Legend 350, looking forward to seeing if I can finally get a time which is good for you to work out. So let's go ahead and see if we can work that out. We'll go ahead and hit you up something maybe later this week as well. We got some time, some days, and hopefully a lot of conversation that we can go ahead and continue to talk about the NBA. Next week is, of course, the NBA draft. So we'll be focused on that. Remember, next Tuesday is our NBA mock draft live right here on this channel. I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully we can have you here for it. And then, of course, Wednesday and Thursday, our coverage here. I'm going to say playback as well. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't seen it pop up on playback yet, but I'm going to say if we can go ahead and do that live on YouTube, live, Facebook, and of course on playback.tv, that would be great. So we'll go ahead and make sure we got the cover for you. There's still plenty to talk about. And then, of course, just a few days later, we've got free agency, Joe. If the Lakers are going to do anything, they better do it sooner rather than later before the Lakers get into the second apron or heavy into the tax. And then we've got Summer League coming up here. So always something good to talk about and always something good to be a part of here at the Lakers Fast Break. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Please like the show so you will stay in their algorithms and all that stuff for the latest show that we put out there. But Joe, again, the Celtics now one ahead of us. It goes back to my original question when I started the show. Realistically, with Jeannie and Rob in charge, do you see them passing or catching up to the Celtics by 2030, 2040, or not at all?
Probably not.
I think by 2040. And the reason why I say that is that somebody new will be in place. Whether, I don't know. I don't think Jeannie Buss will be by 2040 will be the person in charge. Maybe it'll be the younger Busses.
As
I don't
long
know.
as it's
Maybe
not Joey or Jesse, because Joey and Jesse are not going to be able to run this team either.
Maybe she'll sell the team by that time. Maybe it's I know it's an outside chance of that, but by 2040, not saying 2030, anyone.
I just hope it's not to AEG. I don't think they have any business running a basketball
the
team.
Guggenheims would probably be the first place, like you talk about.
If the Guggenheims take over, then you're in a very good spot. Absolutely.
Seem to be very well run organization.
Very well run.
Yeah.
And they don't stick their nose in Kasten and Friedman and all those guys. Magic is a figurehead. He's not really, when they say ownership, he's not. Most of these celebrity owners are not really owners. They're just faces to market the business. But the Dodgers have a very good chain of command. The chain of command is great, even though their lieutenant sucks. That's the only negative. But everything else is good. I guess sometimes you can't have everything.
No. But the challenge is there for us to go ahead and see if we can build a team that can come back and tie the Celtics once again. But they do have the upper hand at this point in time. But we'll see. Again, Joe, I do not think it will be a Celtics dynasty. That's probably the only saving grace of this, Joe's, because the fact they are going to get much more expensive in a shorter period of time.
What's the definition of a dynasty? How many titles do you have to win to be a dynasty?
3 out of 4 years, maybe? Would that be? Because the Lakers back-to-back, 2009, 2010, I don't consider that a dynasty. The 3 championships in the early 2000s, I consider a dynasty. Am I wrong in that saying that?
I call it the Kobe dynasty.
Eric says 3 and 5 years.
Kobe won 5 and 11 years. It's the Kobe dynasty. That's a pretty good run, especially considering 3 of those years were dead seasons. Imagine if those years weren't dead. He probably would have won at least 1 more, maybe 2 more, right?
Yep.
Kobe had a very weird career. He almost had 2 careers. You could call it 2 careers. In a lot of ways, 3 careers.
It was 2 out of, let's say, 2 wins and 3 out of 3 finals. And
he had 3 careers. He had a third of his career was being the first perimeter player to come out from high school to the NBA, and didn't really play a lot. And I know a lot of the third season was because of the strike, but he didn't really play a lot the first 2 years, and then he didn't play a lot the last 3 years because of injuries. 6 of those seasons were never really, they weren't full seasons for Kobe. He really only played 14. 14 is the number that stuck with me after they won the back-to-back title in 2010. I said, look, this guy's been in the league 14 seasons. In a lot of ways, that's pretty much where everyone starts to really go down. And he had been in the finals 7 times, won 5, and been with 2 different championship rosters. It was a very odd career. It wasn't like LeBron. LeBron has been the guy from the beginning till now. Michael Jordan was the main guy from the beginning until his time was done. Dirk Nowitzki, same guy all year, being from the front to the end. Like, Kobe never really had his full arsenal ever in his career. That's why it's very hard to compare careers a lot of times. What was Kobe supposed to do? He went to a championship contender the moment he was drafted, and he was a young guy. He didn't play the first 2 years a lot. So yeah, it's, as far as defining a dynasty, when I grew up, dynasties always had 4. Steelers had 4. Niners had 4. Bulls had 6. Those were dynasties. The Lakers had 5. And you got to mix in some repeats in there too. So the Steelers had 2 repeats in the 70s against some of the best football teams that ever existed. The no-name defense, Miami Dolphins. You had Starbucks, Cowboys. You had the Raiders. The Raiders were really good then too. You had a lot of really good teams in the 70s. And then the 80s, you had the Niners. They left some on the table, but man, my dad still said, God rest his soul, my dad used to say, man, those Niner teams, especially the 84 and 89 teams, man, you couldn't just not stop those guys. Guys were a freaking juggernaut. So to me, 4 was always the number. But the exception with the Laker one is because they three-peated. The three-peat is an automatic dynasty because no one three-peats. Only the ultra great three-peat.
That's why I said I think the 2000s Lakers were the three-peat were a dynasty. The 2 out of 3 that they won. Okay, hold on. Yeah. The finals and then the 3 finals that they made in a row and the 2 championships to 1. That team, I'm just gonna say just missed a dynasty from it. But the one in the early 2000s, the 2, 0, 1, and 2, I think are a dynasty in my opinion, Joe. Just my opinion. So they
just needed to not blow game 4 in 08, and
yep,
they probably win that series. That's a bummer. Yep. So much of history would have changed right now if they had just won in 08. It is what it is.
It is what
It's
it
a
is.
Kobe dynasty. If you're going to call it a dynasty, it's the Kobe dynasty. Five championships in 11 years. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good run. Because the San Antonio run, would you consider that a dynasty? They won it in 99, 03, 05, 07, 2014. It's so spread out.
Yeah, I don't think it's.
You call it the Tim Duncan dynasty.
I don't. I just. It's a good run, a very good run, but it's not a dynasty because, like you said, it's all broken up. I think the Golden State Warriors is closer together in their years that they won specifically, not the last title, but the years that they won specifically in a row or very bunched up. I consider that a dynasty. Speaking of the Spurs, though, I know there was a good question. Do I think the Lakers will ever, it was said by Coolbro, do you think the Lakers will ever become a dynasty again? Under current CBA rules, it's going to be really hard for them to do so. I think if anybody or any team, Joe, and you can correct me if you think I'm wrong, that could do it at some point in time, could be the Spurs if they keep Wembanyama, who I'm as high on as you are. I know it didn't come across the other day, but I do think that Wembanyama, with the right team and talent around him, could make the league a lot of trouble for everyone out there for quite a bit. Again, that's all dependent on if they build the right team around him.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have an answer with that.
Okay. The CBA is going to make it hard, and it's intentionally making it harder for teams to go ahead.
We've heard so many things in the last few years about who's going to be the next big thing: Zion Williamson, Ben Simmons, Karl Anthony Towns. Yeah, Wembanyama is different. He's a safer bet, but I've seen too much tragedy in the NBA to ever really roll with something. And San Antonio right now are not. They just don't look like they're moving quick enough at this point.
No, not at this point. But who knows? With the right moves, they've got the right people in front office to make those moves.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see and let them see what they do.
Wemby could be that transcendent, that next.
He is already, but there's a lot of transcendent players that don't win championships too.
You have a good point. I know we talk about Barkley. Barkley at his height was one of the greatest players in the world at his peak. And
yeah, Barkley. If you really factor in the intangibles with him, you realize how freakish he was.
Yeah,
to do what he did.
And he had Malone by his side for many of those years.
Yeah. Malone was transcendent. John Stockton was transcendent. And there was a small window there where Sean Kemp and Gary Payton were great. Patrick Ewing never really had a second guy. Who else didn't have a second guy? I never felt like Reggie Miller had a second guy.
Yeah, you can't say like there's Haywood Workman. You can't. There's just no Rick Smits. But Rick Smits to me was always like a number 3 as opposed to.
What would have been good? What would have been good is if Reggie Miller had gone to New York and played with Patrick. That would have worked. That would have won him a championship.
Well, again, we're here for you, though, in your time of need out there, Lakers fans. It is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. Please make sure you keep on supporting us because we will be here throughout the summer. Our goal, again, is well over 300 shows a year. We're looking to keep on doing it. But, Blue Magic says Yao Ming was promising and Rick Smits was close. So,
yeah, close isn't good enough.
Yeah. And close, Joe, of course.
Dirk never played with a second guy. I know he had Steve Nash, but Steve Nash didn't turn into Steve Nash until he went to Phoenix.
Yeah. so funny that the other day, did you see them sitting together for game 3 and
Mhm.
Dirk was just chiding Nash, and Nash looked like a guy who just didn't want to be there.
Yeah, Steve is a very down-to-earth guy. I don't think he takes himself too seriously. And I was thinking the whole time, why would Steve Nash care about what's going on with Dallas? Didn't they discard him?
Yep.
Now, it turned out to be the best thing for him, but Mark Cuban didn't think he was worth re-signing in 04. And yeah, when you're an athlete, pro athlete, you never really forget that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that's why he did it, but I'm just saying, if I'm thinking it, you don't think he's thinking it?
No, I agree with you.
And Dallas, a little engine that could. This is the other part of the media where they overblow. They either overblow or undersuck. That's what the media is good at. Pun intended. They either inflate or deflate. And they're both wrong, because you should just let things develop sometimes. So Luka, when he went to the finals, what was he being anointed? The next LeBron James, right?
Yep.
And LeBron James was in a bathroom stall just going crazy on himself for Kyrie Irving all of a sudden. And what happened after that? He put an X on him. Kyrie Irving sucked ass for 5 games. No one telling these guys to shut the hell up and let things happen first before you start doing all this. Stop idolizing everything. Stop overblowing 1 week, 1 year, 1 game of play. Let things just be what they are. No, we have to over-exaggerate. Oh my God, I love this guy. I miss him. I wish he was still with me. Oh, we should have traded for Kyrie. We should have traded for Kyrie. You still thinking that now, a week later, guys?
Woulda, shoulda, coulda.
Woulda, shoulda, coulda. No, guys, there's a reason why no one picked up Kyrie a year ago. It's because he sucked last year. And no one
Plus,
was
he had
gonna-
controversy.
Yeah, he sucked as a person, as a teammate. You can't just decide that you want to do something when everything is good. That's not how life works, folks.
Well, often, fans like to go through revisionist history and change what actually happened.
Well, they'll talk themselves into believing that this should have been done when you don't.
What's up, Bossy?
You don't look at the situation. This whole Jaylen Brown and Tatum, I knew this. I knew it was coming. I knew this. Oh, we should have drafted these guys. Well, folks, if we had drafted those guys, would we have sucked enough to have to go get AD? You have to play that into the equation. LeBron would have never lasted in the 80s. LeBron wouldn't have lasted in the 80s. The guy runs like a deer, and he's the size of some centers in the 80s. He wouldn't have lasted in the 80s, especially if he grew up in the 70s. Come on, folks, wake up. Jordan wouldn't flourish in today's game. Okay, yeah, sure. All right, whatever. Just keep thinking that.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Sorrell from Simblades with the Y.com, and also as well myself, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again for watching this and truly appreciate it. Unfortunately, the evil green Boston Celtics win their number 18th championship, putting them one ahead of the Lakers. And we're asking ourselves, as it is now past the point of no return, when you consider what's going on with the NBA and the fact that you can now approach your free agents, what are the Lakers are going to do? Because all I see is Dave McMenamin, the Lakers reporter, keep on retweeting and tweeting out their pictures of Boston Celtics fans. So hopefully the Lakers are actually conversating with their various parties. But do we really want them to go ahead and push hard for LeBron, Joe?
Push hard. The deal's already done. It's just a matter of it becoming official.
Okay. 3 for 164, I think, is what Eric put out there.
The question now is who's the coach?
I would have loved it if JJ would have dropped it on camera tonight, if that's the case. I would have had a lot of respect for him if he went right there in the middle of the Boston's arena and said, F you guys, I'm going to go ahead and coach the Lakers, F the Celtics. I would have just, yeah. No, but you got to show etiquette, got to show class, decency, sportsmanship. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, Gerald. Sorry.
Yeah. Would have been nice. But again, are we touching on just old rivalries, Joe? I mean, are we, because we're older? Are we...
No, I'm not touching on anything. I'm touching on the fact.
No. I just say the harboring the bad feelings, the fact that we're depressed today because they pulled away.
I'm not depressed really, and I don't have hard feelings because this is. I'm not going to sit here and cry and whine about people who don't care about their own team.
Okay, I'm just saying, younger. Do younger audiences relate to what us older guys?
I don't really know. I just read a statistic that 19% of people who go, these kids these days that go and try and get a job, take their parents with them.
Okay.
Talking about grown adults, like in their 20s. I don't have a lot of faith in the young people these days.
And that's something I touched on before, Eric, because of the fact that, younger generations don't have the same type of connections that older individuals do as far as the rivalries are concerned, especially.
The parents of the 90s and 2000s have let down society. They raised a bunch of fluffy, wussy, crybaby yaps, and the system allowed these yaps to have a forum when they should have been crushed. Then maybe you would have hardened yourself a little bit. Life needs to be just like when you're practicing, hitting that brick. The reason why those martial artists who do those demonstrations, the reason why it doesn't hurt is because they calcify their fists. Constant pain. Sometimes you got to feel the pain. Sometimes you got to go work out when you don't want to. But no, everyone wants to feel good and be liked and not be told that there's something that they don't want to be told. The Lakers are a microcosm of the current flock. The Celtics are a microcosm of what you should do when you win, when you prepare and do things correctly. It's not all gone. It's never all going to be gone. There's always going to be guys like us around that still do it the right way. The right way is discipline, respect, and honoring those around you. I don't think those should ever be gone. Now, if you grew up in an environment that didn't have that and you resent it, I get it. But if you recognize it, then maybe I would like to think that you would do that on your own. There are plenty of people out there that are in bad situations during their upbringing and say, you know what, I'm not going to let this happen to me or anybody in the future. I want to make it better. And as far as sports, take a lesson, folks. We saw greatness from ownership to management to coaching to players for so long. We are now getting the other side of that coin with terrible ownership, mediocre management, horrid coaching, and players aren't equipped to do what needs to get done either.
Too bad Jersey Mike's is closed right now in most areas around the country, except for if you're Hawaii. So you can still get there if you have time. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching this and truly appreciate it. We got a nice crowd tonight. If you haven't yet liked or subscribed, please do so. It really helps out the channel. We'll be doing a lot of things over the next few days, have a lot of good interviews coming up along the way. And of course, our NBA draft coverage, which starts next Tuesday with our NBA mock draft, and then 2 days of NBA draft coverage. Again, Joe, the second day on Thursday afternoon, I absolutely don't know why they're doing it, but it just seems like it's a TV cash grab, I guess. Something that they gave little thought to, an afterthought, because of how well they covered it in past seasons, in past drafts. They're now paying attention to with a full day devoted to it. Convenient that Bronny James will be maybe a second round draft choice then. Or if he's a first and we're gone, we may not be able to cover it because we said we would walk off the set if he gets picked at 17.
I'm not walking off the set. I'm not watching Laker games.
I'm walking off the set. If they pick him at 17, I'm walking off the set.
That's not going to happen. I'd say if they're that dumb, they'd pick him at 55, but
they are going to pick him at 55.
They better not.
I don't think I won't walk off if he picks up at 55 because that's what I'm expecting.
I'm done. I'm not. That is full stamp approval that they're not concerned about winning. They're not in any. They're not really looking to win championships at that point. I'll give you LeBron James. I'll give you overpaying LeBron James a little bit because LeBron is still performing. He just needs help. He needs at least a couple more guys that can help him, right? Yeah. Why? Where have we heard that from, right? LeBron always needs help. Yeah, folks, LeBron does need help. No one wins alone in this league. Especially now. He's in his 40s. He definitely needs help. So if you draft, when you already are limited in being able to draft talent, and you go and draft someone who's not an NBA player because you want to have this hallmark moment, screw you. Screw Jeannie, screw Rob, screw the Lakers at that point. They still haven't honored Jerry West. Jeannie didn't even put Jerry West in the top 5 Lakers, most important player, most important Lakers.
When is the funeral services, or is that private? Has been I haven't gotten the latest on that.
I try not to stick my nose in that stuff.
Okay, I didn't know because I don't know if any of the Lakers brass is going to show up to it, even though they should.
I'm sure Magic will be there, and I'm sure.
Well, he's no longer a member of the brass. I'm saying the actual Lakers.
Everyone on that team should bow down to Jerry West. To tell you that, and I don't say that about a lot of people. I don't believe in bowing down to anybody, but Jerry West, since 1960 until the day he died, made the Lakers relevant. Everything he did made the Lakers relevant. Everything he did made the Lakers relevant.
Aussie said, you saw today, Luka only played one side of the ball. Teams can't win with individuals who only want to do part of the job. Yeah, that's something that they're going to have to address going forward because when it comes right down to it, his inconsistency in playing defense, it costs them. But they are able to get away with it in a regular season. But as you see, as it gets farther and farther, if he's not committed to, not getting blown by, then that's a problem. That's a problem with Luka. Although I would, if he was on the Lakers, I wouldn't exactly not mind, to deal with that problem. But Dallas does have a good future still. I don't know if they'll get back there. They still need to obviously get things around the fringes. As I told Frank, who I really miss, I haven't seen him in a while. I hope he comes back to us. I know he's probably on We Talk Mouse right now.
Well, I think Frank will definitely agree that Jason Kidd got absolutely outclassed in this.
Oh, that stupid maneuver at the end of the first quarter with him putting Maxi Kleber in there and making him the 5. I thought that was a dumb move because they gave up 10 points in a row at the end of to close out that first quarter. And I think that was the ball game right there. Maxi Kleber should have never been your 5. And anytime he was out there, they targeted him. They hunted him, they targeted him, and they scored a lot off of him. So I thought that was probably something that kid didn't adjust to very well.
Look, you can still make it to the finals and be a bad coach.
As they're saying right now on We Talk Mavs. So,
and Luka, as far as Kyrie, they came up lame because we anointed Luka as the next something, and Kyrie was the greatest something, and Derek Lively's the greatest something, and everybody's the greatest after a win. And then when they lose, they're complete chokers and bums and all that, right?
Yep.
Just like I'm saying right now, Jason Kidd got outclassed, right? Did he really? Or did he just run into a team that was just better?
I will cite that. That's just trying to be as objective as I can, Joe. I just thought, again, the whole dynamic of the game changed with that end of that first quarter run by this, because they had done a lot of work to get
all
that.
I know is I
1-point
saw
game.
3 games where it was a blowout in this series. When was Dallas really competitive? I don't count game 4. Game 4, the Celtics completely.
So you're not counting game 3?
I'm not counting anything. Game 2 was a close one if Kyrie could hit a couple shots. But were they really that close? I watched all 3 of those games. They were nothing. They were all blowouts pretty much. I never saw a bit of anything in game 1, 2, or 3 where I was like, Mavericks might come pull this out. Not one bit in those first 3 games. And I was pretty comfortable that even before they got to game 4, I was like, the Celtics are going to want to win this in Boston. And they did. That's exactly what they did. They blew them out in game 5. It was a gentleman's sweep. It really was. I would have preferred, if I was the Celtics, I would have liked to have swept. I would have pushed a sweep because sweeping is in the finals very rare.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it in 0-2. I'll be honest. It was, especially after that Sacramento series. Oof. And I remember game 3 was close against the Nets. They were up by 7 with like 7 minutes left. And I remember Jim Rome, one of his best bits, probably the best bit that I could remember him having, because he's never been my cup of tea. He's like, yeah, the Lakers they got into the fourth quarter with 7 minutes left. They're like, you know what? Let's go win this game, with his Jim Rome tone and delivery.
Have a good one, Mark.
Take care, Mark.
Guys, don't get after each other. It's not worth it, guys. It's not worth going at each other. Just try to keep it civil. Come on. I know it's not a good day for us here as Lakers fans, but we don't need to go at each other. That doesn't help any kind of situation on that. So, yeah. Like Pale says, using the great Pat Riley's quote, "We got to stay together like this, tight like a fist."
We never got the chance to see the full arc of Pat Riley. Winning time was we lost a good show there. Had they just sucks. Had so much potential to be good.
Well, Joe, hopefully in the coming hours we will hear the process going on.
I'm not hearing anything. I thought I'd start hearing things here in the first 30 minutes.
Nothing
Looks
right
like
now.
Everyone's pretty dead right now. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think everybody's having a hangover, and the Celtics unfortunately get to rub it in our faces for now. So we'll see what happens.
I don't really think the Celtics are thinking about the Lakers at this point.
I think there's some Celtics fans, longtime Celtics fans, are thinking about us. I think they are. We had one in the chat. It was very civil. So earlier. So, and I thank him for being civil. I think his name is Eric with a K. I think, and I appreciate his candor, and he was very complimentary to the Lakers, and based off the history. Again, it all depends on how. I think the age of where you're at depends on how bad you're feeling today as a Lakers fan. So, we'll see. But we're going to keep on giving you great shows here coming up. And if there's any news updates on a new coach or LeBron signing extension or D'Lo signing extension or something like that, we're going to go ahead and obviously be here for it. So, Joe, my friend, I think we're going to shut it down for the night. But any last thoughts, my friend, before we head on out?
No.
And on that note, I guess you got to say, congratulations to the Celtics, even though I cannot stand the Boston Celtics. But what are you going to do? They did a good job of running the front office, did a good job of coaching, creating a system that their players could thrive off of, and they got what they wanted. They got what they deserved. After a 62-win season, they went ahead and they defeated the Dallas Mavericks in 5 games tonight. But I hope that we will see the Lakers turn around before the end of this decade and tie it back up so we can talk about passing them up once again on this show. So we'll see. But Aussie, great to have you there on Facebook. Please follow us there if you're on Facebook watching with Aussie. Truly appreciate it if you do. If you're on Twitter watching us, please go ahead and follow us there as well. You get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air. Don't forget, I do have another show I put on earlier today called the Pop Culture Cosmos. Great show. Talked about a lot of things, including Inside Out 2 and also House of the Dragon, which after episode 1 was really like House of the Dragon. So if you're into that, please go ahead and check out our conversation there. But for Joe Soro, it's Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching and listening. JSJ is already giving the official, announcement that JJ Redick is becoming their franchise head coach. Or is legacy head coach is the term that Laker Tom says. Legacy, future legacy head coach. I agree with you, Joe. This could be a 2-year head coach. This could be a very temporary head coach, especially if, like you said, the results are not there. Yeah, indeed. But once again, it is Joe Soro along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again for watching this thing. We'll be back tomorrow, whether it's early for breaking news or whether or not it's later in the day. We're always here to go ahead and entertain you as best we can. JSJ says 2 more playing years will get him fired. JSJ, you say that. I don't know. Jeannie is really a different individual there. So we'll just go ahead and leave it at that. But once again, it is the Lakers fast break and how she thinks about the team and what changes need to be made. But it is, of course, the Lakers fast break. Want to thank so much for watching this and truly appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow for more great stuff. Now that the work must begin on the Lakers getting back to tie the Celtics, getting their own 18. We'll be back for more to talk about it. The drive begins now for the Lakers to get 18 on the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.